Hi there, and welcome back to Model Horses, of course. Today we have a super scary episode, also educational, but this is frightening to model horse collectors. There is danger lurking in your model horse collection that we, as model horse collectors, probably have not thought about before. What is that danger, you may ask? Let me answer for you. Batteries! We have batteries in our model horses. Batteries like these are called alkaline batteries. These are called AAA batteries. These are LR44 little button batteries, and we have them in some of our model horses. This type of alkaline battery, it can be composed of things like magnesium oxide, potassium hydroxide, and when charged correctly, cause all kinds of wonderful things. But when they're left in these models or toys of any kind for a long period of time, the chemicals inside of them start to do things that they shouldn't and leak and corrode chemicals that will damage the insides of whatever they're in. So, if you have any of these three horses, let's talk about what to do about these dangers. I'm going to address this little guy first. This is Snoozy, Sleepy Pal, something like that. Super cute. And he has a little thing on his hand. If you press him, he should snore. Oh, isn't that so cute? He's so sleepy. What causes that is batteries. Fortunately, this guy was made in a toy factory that makes this type of toy, and he's pretty accessible. So to deal with his batteries, I'm going to get prepared first. Actually, first I'm going to show this to you. In his little pony butt, he has some Velcro. That Velcro goes to a little box that has an on-off switch, so you can turn him off. So if you do want to use him, and you do want to push that button, he does have an on-off switch. Pro tip. Other than that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some tools together. As always, I like to prepare my area. I like to have something down, a piece of fabric of some kind, because I'm dealing with small stuff. I'm going to drop it. If I'm on a hard surface, it's going to bounce, and I'm going to be very unhappy because I'm never going to find it again. So I have a little tray here for my little tools. I need an eyeglass screwdriver, the Phillips head, not the straight edge. And then I need a little place to corral all of my little parts. So I have a little soft area to work on, mostly clear, and then I have a little place to put my tools. So I take my eyeglass screwdriver with the Phillips head, and on the back of his little box, of course, instead of just putting a nice little thumb detent, they put a little tiny screw here. Now do be careful, because along with the screw, you probably won't be able to see it, I can barely see it, there's these little teeny tiny itty bitty washers, and they're clear. Thank you very much. So there's going to be a screw and a washer here that I have to deal with to get these batteries out. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I'm going to unscrew this little tiny screw. Takes quite a bit to pull it out. And then there's not only the screw, there's that little tiny clear washer. So make sure you're prepared for that. Put all of your pieces in your little bowls so that you don't lose them. And then inside I have two AAA batteries. So two AAA batteries. You want to take these out. If they're original to your guy, I think mine actually are, because I forgot about him as a battery operated piece. They probably need to be disposed of properly. These are alkaline and need to be taken out because they have little springs and metal in here to conduct the electricity. If you leave them in for too long, they'll start to leak, corrode, and then you'll start to get that corrosion affecting the battery compartment of your piece. So when you store him back again, make sure you put all the pieces back, including that little tiny clear spacer. Thank you very much. Screw that back down. And then what I usually do is I keep a couple of AAA batteries around the house, pop this back inside, put his little Velcro back together so that he can sit on the shelf and look cute. And then if I ever want to use him again, I can just grab some AAA batteries and use them. So that's him. That's my little sleepy snoozy. So these two Halloween horses are quite unique in the annals of Breyer history. They also use batteries. This is Illuminati. This is, I think his name's Twilight Terror. He was the first of this type of innovation in model horses, where he lights up. You push a button and the pumpkins are kind of clear. He's cast in a clear plastic, and the pumpkins, the jack-o'-lanterns, light up. And on the belly here is this extra kind of oval piece, and it has a button on it. You push the button, he lights up, super cool, but that's also where the batteries are. So I'm going to set him aside because he's tippy, and I don't want him to fall over. This is Twilight Terror, same concept. He not only lights up, he also has these sound effects where the thunder and lightning, light and sound effects happen, generated by batteries. Things I didn't think about when I was buying them, but things I do need to think about them, because these guys are quite old. They're from the early 2000s, so the batteries inside of them are going to be subject to leakage. So for him, I've already disassembled him, but I'm going to show you kind of how I did it, because it's very fiddly bit. First, take him off of his base, set his base aside, turn him over. This is the piece that came out of him. So it's this oval piece on his belly that sits flush with his belly, has the button that generate those effects. It has on both sides those little teeny tiny screws like we saw in the sleepy guy. So you need a Phillips head screwdriver for your eyeglass size. And what's going to come out of him on both sides is 2 screws and 2 of the little teeny tiny washers that are way too small and clear for my liking. So you're going to take both of those screws and washers out, which is where the nice clear area down here is going to be super important. And then you kind of just have to go really slow. Breyer did not have any tolerance when they were putting these in. If I put this all the way in, it would take me like a half an hour to get it back out, because they're so tight in there. You just kind of have to work it back and forth, and it'll come out a millimeter at a time. Once you're starting to get loose, go slower, because he's actually attached inside. So when you pull this out, he comes, I had this guy detached because, again, I couldn't do it. He has this little wire in him that is attached to this little wire that runs up to more lighting inside the horse. This is what does the little sound effect, and it has 2 little lights, but then this wire runs to more lights inside of him. So when you pull this out, these 2 pieces of wire are going to be attached. There's little spring side releases on the side you squeeze that'll release it, and again, very slowly, because these are little tiny, very easy to break plastic parts. This is that very easy to break kind of fragile plastic. It's not the nice tenite of the horse. And again, you have a model horse here that you've got to worry about too. So pull these 2 pieces apart, then you're going to have this nice piece by itself that you can work with. So on the top inside, this is what came out of the horse in here. There's a little lid that just pulls to the side. Thank God, no more screws. And then the lid comes off. Put your little pieces in your little bowl so that you don't lose them. And then you're going to be able to pull out, I've already taken out these little tiny, there's going to be 3 little tiny button batteries in here. Hopefully you won't have any corrosion in there. Hopefully they have not leaked if you've had them stored in a nice cool space. But make sure that you double check when you pull this apart to make sure there's no corrosion, because rust never sleeps. If you've got some corrosion going on in there, deal with it, because otherwise it's going to damage the insides of this and it's not going to work again. So once you've pulled out your batteries, checked your insides, you can push that little ribbon back in, take your little lid piece, slip that back on, and then you can connect this, pop it back in the horse, and store them on the shelf. But store them with no batteries in here. What I do is I just keep a little packet of these LR44 batteries and baggies on the shelf. So if I ever want to show them off, I ever want to see that fun effect, I can grab those fresh batteries, put them in, and then I can see that effect. But when you store them, make sure that those batteries are out. So there you have it. Dangers lurking in our model horses. Please spread the word, something that we haven't had a chance to think about as model horse collectors, but especially if you have some of these models, make sure you check them and get those batteries out before it causes damage to your horses. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something, and I'm sure I'll come up with something fun for my next video, so join me next time. Thank you.